Hey guys, how's it going? This is Tom Greenwood here. This is for my Everyman Carpentry channel. As you guys know, I haven't really been being a carpenter of recent, but today I'm playing Concrete Man, and tomorrow I'll be playing Stonemason. Anyway, this video is also for the Monroe County Building Department so they can inspect my work after the COVID-19 shutdown of the county stuff, so they can check my work. So bear with me, guys. This will be a long video, but I'll try and talk about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and let the inspectors see that I knew what I was doing when I poured this. Okay, so here we are. This is a footer. As you guys know, I've been digging a bunch of dirt. I had to dig down. What I have here is at least 32 inches below the grade, depending on where my lowest point is. So in Indiana, our frost point is 32 inches. So you want your bottom of your footer below 32. So I have everything that my highest point of my gravel or whatever is 32 inches below our frost line. So what you can see going on here in this hole, this is rebar, half-inch rebar. Okay, I have 3 lines of half-inch rebar running all the way around, and then what I've done is I've put a form along the outside of it. And the reason I put that form in place is that after we pour the concrete up to the top of this form and screed it off level, I'm going to come back and put a drainage pipe on the outside so that any water that hits the foundation will roll away and into that drain. And so we're pouring down here. When we come back later and work on that side of the house, we'll be able to tie into all of that stuff that's going on down there. It won't be pretty, but we'll take care of it on the back side. Anyway, so the reason we put rebar in the hole, and I have half-inch, the rebar is, let's talk about the stuff below it. This stuff down here is number 9 gravel. They come in 9s and 11s and 53s. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of gravel. So I got number 9s, and then I went back and I got a mechanical tamper from a rental agency here in town, and I put it in the hole and ran it around and tamped it down as much as I possibly could. This is to make sure that the rock is as compacted as it can possibly be, so that when the concrete goes in the hole, it doesn't compact anymore, but it stays settled. Concrete is really good at compression strength, so you can stack a bunch of weight on top of it. Concrete we're getting today, I think, is probably 3,000 psi, which means per square inch it can hold up to 1.5 tons before it will break or turn into gravel. What I have is the half-inch rebar here in the hole, and that half-inch rebar is has some crazy kind of test of like 30,000 pounds before it shears off. So what the rebar does is it gives tensile strength. Okay, so concrete's really good at compression, but tensile, being stretched and unsupported, it breaks really, really easy. So what the rebar does is, in a worst case scenario, the bottom of the footer gets eroded in some way, settles in some way. The rebar helps fight that. The amount of rebar that is required in a footer is governed by these mathematical equations. I'm not really going to get into them because I'm not a mathematician. I can't explain them adequately. But the International Residential Code for Building talks about rebar, and if you're curious about it, I suggest reading up into it and talking to anybody you know that knows math that can explain it to you. I just tend to go by these rules of thumb and these overkill scenarios, so I'm always going for overkill. So the minimum that's required for the area that I'm in for laying 8-inch cinder block is a 16-inch wide, 6-inch deep piece of footer. Okay, what I'm going is I have at least 16, in some places 18 to 20, depending on how far I dug back on the bank. It's just the necessity of it, and I'm going 8 inches thick. That's what this form is it's a piece of 8-inch plywood that we reinforced all along. I put stakes in it, and then we reinforced it against the bank. Okay, now what you have to have when you do a footer is it's governed by some kind of mathematical rules and stuff like that, but there's some rules of thumb that I was taught. Okay, so basically, if you have a block, your block is X, you want your footer to be 2X, twice as wide as your block, and you want it to be X deep, so you want it to be as deep as your block. So am using 8 by 8 by 16 cinder blocks. So what will happen is I'll have a 8-inch deep footer, 16 inches wide. The other thing is that you need half the width of your block on either side of your cinder block. So that's why I went 16, or actually a little bit past 16 when I set this, is 4.5 inches, so that when I lay my cinder block down, what happens is it sits on the footer, okay, and then it has 4 inches, half its width, to the edge of the footer. Okay, The other thing that we did is we came in and we put this rebar in here. I put this rebar in, and the goal is you want the rebar to be within no closer than 1.5 inches to the edge of your concrete. So right now I got some helpers with me. They're going through, they're making sure that there's enough room underneath the rebar, and as you can see, it's, you know, however far, it's more than a fist away from the edge of my form, so we'll be good here and in other places. So as you can see, what I did is I drove stakes into the ground and I put a cross tie across it, and I did that every 4 or 5 feet, and then I tied the rebar onto that, and we did that all the way around. So we're just gonna kind of walk the perimeter, and I'll talk about what I'm doing. So as we can see, I'm coming back and I'll be putting a footer underneath that part of the house probably next year. Who knows? Who knows what the future exactly holds, but I ran the rebar over 1 foot into the dirt there. We're gonna pour up to that dirt, and then the concrete will sit on it. And then when I come back, I'll have rebar sticking on my concrete that I can tie other rebar to and run the rest of the footer for the entire house. So that's that. We're here all the way around. I've got my form locked in, and as we can see, like I said, about every 5 feet or so, we've got rebar tied together on these cross braces to keep it up out of the gravel. You don't want it getting down in the gravel. And my guys are over there. They're making sure, right now they're backfilling on the back side of this to give it some push, and we're leveling out this gravel that may have moved a little bit when we were walking. You want to make sure that there's nothing in the hole like organic material. So this piece of wood has to come out of the hole because it'll eventually rot and leave a void, and then the concrete won't be as strong. So we came to our corner. I overlapped everything on my joints, so anywhere my rebar overlaps, it is governed again by a law, a mathematical thing. The minimum is 12 inches. I went, you see that little pink line? I'll get closer to that pink line. Let me walk around here. So everywhere where my rebar overlaps, I took a pink line, and that pink line is actually 13 inches. So what I have here is like, all right, I'm within 1/2 inch of that on that overlap. That means that that's like a 12.5 overlap. Right there, it's lining up with the pink. That means I have like a 13-inch overlap anywhere that my rebar is running parallel and overlaps. You want to tie it together. So I've got it tied together, and I've got it overlapped, and it runs into the corners all the way around here. This is really low, in case you guys haven't been in here. So you might be wondering, Tom, how did you get the top of your form to be level? Well, I have a laser that I got from DeWalt. DeWalt makes some pretty decent stuff. I like them. I mean, there's companies that make better stuff, but I like DeWalt. I shot that laser. It's a plumb and a level, and I set it down in the hole. And what I did is I have a corner. I'll show you the corner when we get over there. I have a corner that we are is my 0 for the house, and then the rest of my walls, you guys know how I plumbed up my walls. I got a 0 point for those walls that I used to figure out how deep everything is. So here we are, getting the rest of this little stuff out. We're coming back. Right now my guys are working on this. I got some helpers here with me today. So anyway, there's the rest of the rebar. I had to go out a little bit. So normally you want your form straight. I lost, this happens, I lost my angle grinder, and I can't afford to go buy another one in the middle of a pandemic. So I just diverted my form so that it was more than 1.5 inches away from that piece of rebar on the end. It'll just mean that the corner of the house is a little bit stronger. Tends to be where things fail anyway. A lot of load on houses rests on the exterior. So here we are, we're coming around the corner, and you'll get to see a couple of my buddies that are helping me today, and then we'll go to the corner and talk about how I found level. So, crack kills. So as you can see, what they're doing right here is they're making sure that there's gravel up against the bottom of the form. Okay, I don't want any concrete gushing out that I can avoid. And then they're taking a little bit of the dirt that is left over from the excavation, and what they're doing is they're just backfilling 1 inch or 2. And what this will do is it will help equalize the pressure on the bottom. This concrete's probably 100 pounds per linear foot of force that's resting exterior. That's why we have all this bracing like this every 4 or 5 feet wherever it didn't seem right. So we have that all the way down, and that's pretty much how we did this footer. There are other ways to do it. This is the way I did it. So as you can see, this is my footer that I poured for this house, and these are the forms that I got set. Concrete truck will be here in a minute, so until then I get to shoot a video for you guys. hope that you're doing all right out there. Be safe with your people. If you can afford to, if you have any reason to stay in, don't go outside if you can avoid it. Stay inside just to help medical professionals. They're saying everybody stay inside unless it's really important. I need to pour concrete, so it's happening. We haven't been told to shelter in place, but be safe out there, guys. I'll see you on a better day. I hope you enjoy the video. Oh yeah, I told you I would talk about level. So we can see the bottom of these studs right here. You can see that there's a stud. There's a whole bunch of studs down there. I took that laser, and what I did is I went and I measured. Let me crawl up out of the hole. Please don't shame me for how dirty my work site is right now. Just is what it is. So what we did, crawling all over everything. Never seen the inside of a house taken apart. This is what it looks like. All the way apart. Put the laser on a tripod. That corner right there is my 0. Shot a line over to here, marked it, and then took a level. Dropped that level down in the hole until we got deep enough where I knew the bottom of, where the top of my form was going to be. And the bottom of the hole is 52 inches, 51 3/4 is what I needed, but I went a little bit deeper just so that I had room to play when it was time to come back. So dropped a line down in the hole, got it level, and used my laser, and then shot that laser. It'll shoot level for like 50 feet. It's within 1/8 of an inch accurate. I shot that all the way on my form to the corner, and then I walked it all the way around. Used that corner to go to the next corner, etc., 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 till we're done. So anyway, longer video than normal. It's been longer since I put something up. That's the footer that I got in place for this house. As always, if you guys have questions, hit me up on my YouTube channel. I'll respond to anything. Hope you guys are doing okay. And be safe out there, and I'll see you on a better day.